Hey, welcome back, folks. The Ray Lucia Show. 844-RAY-SHOW is the number to call. 844-729-7469. When you hear that, music in the background, that usually means my pal Brandon Cox is on the line with our oil report for the day. Hey, Brandon, are you partying in the street? You had about a 2% bump in oil prices overnight. I guess they liked what the Fed had to say. How you doing today, buddy?
Hey, we're doing good. We'll take everything we can get right now, Ray. A couple bucks here and there adds up, but yeah, we like it when they go up from an oil and gas company standpoint. But we're good to see the lower prices for everybody else, let everybody else benefit from it.
One of the things that I read the other day is that the supply, this oversupply that we keep hearing about, is not nearly as oversupplied as one would think for this 40% plus reduction in price. Are you in that camp where you say, you know what, this doesn't make sense?
Well, I think, most people when they're looking at, oil markets and just in the near term, 6 to 12 months from now, oil prices should be back where they're at. So I would say I'm in that camp. I think prices are going to come back up pretty quick, and, but now we'll make the most of the opportunity.
Well, you have a special opportunity right now in the oil marketplace where people can get a pretty significant tax deduction. How can people get a hold of you to find out about it?
I'd say the best way is just go to the website pipelineoilandgas.com. Again, pipelineoilandgas.com. You got all kinds of basic information on there, Ray, especially for the novice. Great place to get started when learning about investing in oil and gas.
And you've got some white papers and a book they can order as well. Do that, folks. Go to pipelineoilandgas.com. Hey, we'll check in with you tomorrow, all right?
All right. Sounds good, Ray.
Have a great day. That's Brandon Cox, the CEO and founder of Pipeline Oil and Gas.